Dad, I know it sounds selfish, but I'm not ready to lose you right now. Those were the words that I spoke to my dad several years ago when he was diagnosed with stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, blood cancer that had made its way into his bone marrow, and the prognosis was not good. I had an upcoming trip to Afghanistan, and I was sitting in a chemotherapy appointment with him with all of these tubes and chest, the port coming out, pumping that rat poison into him. And, just being in that clinic reminded me of the Kandahar Charlie Med, where I had lost so many of my buddies. And just the thought of losing my dad, it just kind of pushed me over the edge at a time when I had lost too damn many friends in this war. And I kind of broke down, and I laid it out for him like that. And what he said to me stuck with me forever. He said, "Scotty, I know you're scared, son, and I am too, but the thing is, I've had the opportunity to raise you and your brother, to spend time with my grandsons and my granddaughters, and, mentor thousands of firefighters. I've left my tracks, son. You know that." When he said that, it hit me right between the running lights. And it really shouldn't have. My dad, he spent 40 plus years in the United States Forest Service fighting these big wildland fires and protecting our environment. And he was always making references to the land. Boys, I don't care what you do with your lives, don't care where you live, but you make sure you leave your tracks. You hear me? And he wasn't talking about, footprints, obviously. He was talking about those indelible impressions that each of us is capable of leaving in the earth that don't just serve the people around us. That's great, but impacts that serve people who follow us. You see, that's leadership. That's rooftop leadership. That's true purpose-based leadership. When our actions and our deeds serve people who we will never even meet, that's when people follow you up through the ladders of chaos and uncertainty onto that rooftop for strategic outcomes. It's when you have a sense of yourself and you know what you're here to do. Think about the leaders you've had in your life who you would run through walls for, right? How clear were they on their life? How clear were they on their tracks that they were leaving behind? Crystal clear. Crystal clear. A rooftop leader has a crystal clear vision of a better world that doesn't yet exist, and the dynamic ability to inspire other people to help them build it, right? That's what we follow. That's human nature. It's what we followed for thousands of years, and in today's trust-depleted environment, you better believe this is what people are going to follow when you're not looking. So understanding the tracks that you're here to leave. What are your tracks? Remember, we're the most meaning-seeking creatures on the planet. We crave meaning. We must feed meaning into our identity. The ultimate question we ask ourselves at the end of our life, if we're lucky, is, did I matter? Did it have an impact? Did I play the game I was supposed to play? And if we can start now with kind of a Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind mindset, we can leave big tracks. And that's our theme for this week, is leaving tracks. All month of January, we're talking about mindset so that you get in the right path for 2018 and living the life you were meant to live and leading from the rooftop. And each week we're talking about what feeds that mindset. Well, this week it's leaving tracks. Because the thing is, last week we talked about purpose, and it's not always easy. Even if you recognize that you need to be more clear on your purpose, sometimes determining what your purpose is can be really ambiguous, really complex, especially if we're running 100 miles an hour. But what I've found with my dad's analogy of leaving tracks, of what we leave behind us, and knowing that up front, it really helps you as an anchor point to make the connection to what your purpose is and what your vision for the future is. It's not as nebulous, it's not as foggy when you know what your tracks are. For some reason, it seems easier to get clear on your tracks first. What am I leaving behind? Then we can kind of walk it back to our purpose and our vision of where we're going forward. Because How can we truly move into the future? How can we truly execute on a vision of 2018 if we don't know what we're going to leave behind? And if we do embark on that vision, without knowing that, isn't that when we create empty resolutions? Isn't that when we do transactions that are shallow? Isn't that when we do someone else's shit? You got to know what your tracks are. You got to know what you're here to do. And when you know that, people smell it, they sense it, and they want to be around you. They want to follow you. They want to help you build what you're building because you're clear on your tracks and they know it's authentic and it serves others. There's a very simple exercise that I teach to my students and the people who I train with. I want you to go somewhere quiet, kind of like where I'm sitting here, somewhere off grid where the kids and life will just let you be for a few minutes. Take a notepad and a pen, and I want you to close your eyes. I want you to imagine it's the day that you take your last breath on this earth, and the person who would hold your hand in that last moment is sitting there beside you. And I want you to imagine their face, the touch of their skin, and the sound of their voice as they tell you it's okay to let go. Now, it's 15 years since you've taken that last breath and your eyes are still closed, and this person who held your hand in those moments is now having coffee with someone you never met. And they've asked about you. They've never heard of you, but they've asked about you. And this person who held your hand in that last moment is sharing the tracks that you left behind. What would you have them say? Simply pick up the pen now, open your eyes, and move that pen for 7 minutes. What would you have them say? And I'm telling you, if you do this, you will identify the wellspring of your leadership. You will identify, what a gift, what you're here to do, right? What you're here to leave behind. For me, I'll give you an example. The tracks that I would want left behind, what I would want said in that coffee shop, at the top of the heap was that he loved his family more than life. He loved his wife and those boys like crazy. He loved his mom and his dad and his brother like crazy, and he never missed an opportunity to say it. He created movements in the most unlikely places and helped people stand up who otherwise would never have stood up on their own. He saw greatness in people before they could see it in themselves. And he always led from the bottom up. That guy lived in the problem and the solution. He never admired the problem. He lived in it. And he led from the inside out. Now, those are my tracks. And sometimes I fulfill those tracks as a Green Beret, but now I fulfill them as a rooftop leader, as an advocate for veterans and nonprofits, as a warrior storyteller, a connection coach. Passions come and go, torches I carry come and go, but those tracks are forever. And they help me connect to what my purpose and my vision is going forward. Do this work. Even if you've done the tracks exercise with me before, you know the deal. Do this every quarter. Change the point of view, the person that would hold your hand, and you'll get a new perspective. When you write those tracks down, post them somewhere where you can see them. Mine are right inside my closet. This is the deep work that sets us apart from everybody else. We'll be talking about leaving your tracks all week on Official Scott Mann on Facebook, Rooftop_leader on Instagram. We'll be talking about it at Real Scott Mann on Twitter, just all over the place. So lean in, do that work, leave your tracks. I'll see you on the rooftop.